welcome to the channel, G17 Collectibles. It's Gordon here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Present Toys Future Warrior. This is the battle damaged version. So here we go, here is the box. The box has a nice slip cover, which when you remove, you then reveal the actual box below. You can see there we've got a nice endo skull design. Inside of the box we have the plastic clam tray, which looks like 2 or 3 layers with all the bits and bobs and figure inside. Separating the clam tray we do have 3 layers. The top layer is the figure with hands and the grenade launcher belt. The second layer is the display stand with the weapons, and the lower layer is the alternative battle damage jacket with the switch out for the left arm, which gives us the kind of broken endo forearm. So here we have all the parts out of the box, and I just want to run through them very quickly. So we have here the display base stand. The one thing to note about that is it's really quite large. It's a lot larger than any other stand that I've ever seen from any other figure. We then have the swap out endo arm. That's really nice. It's nicely painted, nicely done. We have the alternative leather coat, which I think I'm going to use in the final display. But that's really nice, really well detailed. It's got some bullet holes, etc, etc. And this is leather, not pleather, which is lovely to see from a third party figure. We then have, let's have a look at the minigun next. So this minigun is really nice, quite well detailed. Doesn't look as if it's weathered. It looks as if it's just standard kind of painted black with some silver accents and some nice wee touches, but overall it's a really good gun. Could be doing with some weathering, but other than that, fantastic. In relation to that, you then have this long strip of ammo for the same minigun. We also have the grenade launcher. Now the grenade launcher is really nice, something I think I'm going to use in the figure's actual final pose. But the grenade launcher, again, painted relatively quite well. It's got some nice details on there, but it's not weathered. Then moving on to the grenade ammo belt. Now these all are metal, so you can actually take them out of the belt, and hopefully the camera will focus. They are actually all metal, which is fantastic. So that's quite heavy. So that's quite a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting them all to be metal, but that's wonderful. We then have the pistol, which again is actually quite nice. You can see the triggers cocked there. The slide moves back and forth. No weathering again, but again, nice little piece. We will have a selection of hands here. So you get 2 on the figure, which are open palm hands. We then have this hand, this gloved hand, which looks like a kind of pistol trigger grip hand, and you can see there it's well sculpted. It's really well done. You can see all the blood work, all the damage on that one, so that's fantastic. We also have the thumbs up hand, which is lovely. Closed fist hand. And again, what looks like potentially another gun holding trigger finger hand. But the gloved hands are really nice. They're painted very well. Reasonable selection of hands there, so I'm quite happy with that. Before we move on to the main figure, you also do get a little screwdriver and 3 button cell batteries. Quite small little batteries. They're there for the light up head, so we'll get them in. We'll take a look at the light up eye. Now for the figure itself, the first thing I've noticed when lifting this is it is really heavy. It's a good chunky figure. Starting from the top, and I apologise for my camera work here. The sculpt in itself, there's a lot of criticism that it wasn't as per the prototype. But you know, I think it's not bad at all. I think it's a really, really good head sculpt. It's potentially too fat round the chin and the cheeks. If you remove that, it does look like a better sculpt. And I think the top of the head, the criticism is it's a bit flat. But overall, you know, for the money paid, as a third-party figure, it's fantastic. I'm really quite happy with it. The battle damage, the detail. Let me see if I can just pull this head sculpt off so we can get a closer look. Put the figure down. You can see there that the sculpt itself really quite well done. A lot of lovely battle damage there. There's different red tones, different blood tones, different flesh tones. Move to the other side. You know, you can see that is Arnold. That is the T800. It's really, really well done. So despite the fact that, you know, it's maybe not super accurate to what was shown in the prototype, I'm really happy with that. I don't see a problem with that sculpt at all. It's not perfect, but it's far better than some of the other sculpts we've ever got from other figures. You know, so I think we can be happy that this one's quite good. Moving on to the actual figure, just pop that head back on. You can see underneath, chest piece. Again, some lovely work, lovely sculpted work in there from the chest. Again, very well painted. Moving down to the leg. You can see on the leg again, some really nice sculpted work in there and some paint. The legs only have a 90-degree bend. And looking at the bottom of the trouser, you can see you've got a nice wee zipped portion there. The boots are not split boots, they are just sculpted boots, so that could potentially cause some issues when you're trying to pose, but it's not as if you're going to have a T800 in any sort of flexible gymnastics pose anyway. The jacket itself, it's not weathered. It's the one thing to note. Although they've had an attempt at weathering and battle damage in the clothing, one thing perhaps they could maybe have done a little bit better is instead of having some very sharp lines, it's more evident on the trousers. You can see that it's just basically cut with a pair of scissors. It's not feathered, it's not kind of like torn, etc, etc, even down to the bullet holes. They are very circular bullet holes. There's no weathering on the outfit whatsoever. It's, you know, we're talking about a battle damage figure here. We're talking about one of the kind of end scenes, and there's very little weathering. Another thing that I'm not, it may be just a light, but the trousers look like a different colour to the actual jacket. Whether this is just mine or whether this is just my eyes playing tricks on me, but these certainly look a lot greyer. There's almost a kind of blue tinge coming through with the trousers. The jacket does look as if it's black, but the trousers have a very slight different tone to them. I don't know if you can see that, kind of bluish grey in it. Anyway, I think detail wise, I can't really pick too many faults. Overall, it's a really nice, heavy, chunky figure. The sculpt, the battle damage, the blood work, the paint, I'm really, really happy with it. So let's just have a wee quick look. Let's get the batteries in that head and we'll check out the head sculpt and the light up feature. So here we go. Got a couple of batteries in there, turned it on, and it's maybe not coming off in camera too well. I have tried to turn the lights off in the room. It's a lot brighter here than what it will come off in the camera. If I just pop that head sculpt on, you can see there is a slight glow from the eye. Let's see if I can get a better angle on that. See that slight glow? It's probably not terrific. I mean, if I was to put that in the cabinet with the lights on it, the lighting would drown that out. So it's nice to have, it's a nice to have feature of the glow up eye. The batteries are only going to last a few hours, so you're only ever going to turn that on every so often. It's not something I'll ever turn on, to be honest with you. I'm going to leave the batteries in the box. I don't think it's necessary to keep pulling the head off and turning it on every time I want to see the eye lit up. But it's not that strong. It really isn't that strong at all. you're not getting the light coming through that eye as strongly as perhaps potentially what it could be. So, okay, it's there, it's nice to have. It's not a practical feature. Again, it's one of them things, it's nice to have, but it's not necessarily earth-shattering. Okay, so I just want to take a few minutes before we move to the posing, get the figure in the collection, to talk about things I like, things I don't like about the figure, the positives and the negatives. And there's far more positives on this one than what there is negatives. So I think overall, Present Toys have done a stellar job considering the price tag on this figure. I think it's around about delivered £200 in the UK. And I'm really, really happy that I got it as a really excellent alternative to the long sought after DX13, which price-wise was just always too much and outside my budget to justify buying that figure. They're rare, they're difficult to get a hold of, and you have to pay a premium for them. This is a very, very good alternative to that figure. Now, I love the fact that Present Toys have given us some real upgrades in what I consider to be a normal expectation of a figure. So you've got things like the metal grenades, the weathering and the battle damage on the figure itself, and the hands, etc. is really, really excellent. I know some people have chosen to repaint them to enhance that look, but I think out the box it's fantastic. Love the fact that Present Toys have used leather instead of pleather for their outfit, and they've also given us this alternative jacket. That's not necessarily something that a lot of toy 1/6 figure manufacturers would do for us, and give us multiple jackets, etc. to give you different looks. So thumbs up and kudos on that one. I really do like the figure, the weight of the figure, the sculpt, the tailoring, the outfit. You can get many different looks between the minigun, the pistol, the thumbs up, the grenade launcher. You know, we can have multiple versions of the T800 from different scenes in the Terminator 2 movie. So overall, I think they've done a lot of good things here. Things I don't necessarily like is I don't like the size of that display stand. I think the display stand is probably too big, and it's one of the things that I wish manufacturers would kind of like think of, is we have to, as collectors, we have to display these things in very small display cabinets. There's a large majority of us use the D12 as well as the new Blaladin cabinet. And I made this comment about the Spider-Man Spider-Verse Miles Morales. The background to that is fantastic, but it's far too big for any sort of display cabinets that we tend to favour and use. And that display stand is no exception. I'm not going to fit that alongside another figure. I'll try and see if, but I can tell already that it probably won't fit. So that's not great. I'm not convinced about the colour of the pants versus the colour of the jacket. I do think there is a tonal difference between these trousers and the jacket. It looks as if that's more of a grey and blue to the black on the jacket. Perhaps that's the way it should be, but yeah, or maybe it's just mine, but I think the leather should be matching in colour. It's probably not coming off in camera. I don't necessarily like the way in which they've cut the detail for some of the clothing. I think it's too angular and it's too sharp. So I think that maybe could have been done a little bit better. If you're going to all this effort of giving us a figure like this, it would have been nice to try and have a little bit more tiered and feathered edges. And I also don't like the fact that the figure is meant to be battle damaged, but is a bit clean looking. So it's the same comment for the weapons. They're all very, very clean. There's no dirt, there's no weathering on it, etc. So that to me is a miss. You know, I think Present Toys could have weathered it a little bit more, the outfits and the accessories, and it would have ended up with that touch being almost perfect. However, in saying all that, these are just wee niggles. It's me being probably hypercritical of the figure. There's far more positives, and the positives are this is a stunning figure. Okay, so I've chosen to remove the jacket and replace the left forearm here. So this is what the figure looks like with the jacket off. The t-shirt does have some good weathering on it. It has some good blood work on the bullet holes, etc. Taking the jacket off was pretty straightforward. The hands came off quite well, and pulling the forearm off, which is this piece here, was pretty straightforward. It's just a sharp pull, bit of firm force, and it just slides right off. And then you just slide the new one on. However, I have a rather wobbly torso. So I don't know if this is really going to truly come off in the camera, but the torso is really loose. So the joint here that joins to the body here, yeah, there's some problems with that. So it's really quite loose. I don't know whether I've got a broken body or whether that's just the body that they've used, but you can see there's a lot of play. It's quite floppy. So let's add that to the list of things that I don't like. Also, just to reiterate the colour of these trousers, I think it'll come off better here. You can see in contrast to the boots how blue that leather looks. And if I move the jacket, you can see that the colour of the jacket in comparison to the trousers, there is definitely a colour difference there. So again, we'll add that to the list of things that potentially I don't like about the figure. Okay, so here we have my final pose. I'm really quite happy with it. I think the overall look, it was really easy to put this one together. So changing the jacket, the forearm, and then getting that ammo belt over the head and shoulder, as well as switching out the hands, which are nice and soft and pliable. You don't have to fight with them. Generally, I think getting the figure into a very simplistic, and it's my style, I like the museum poses. Getting the figure into this pose was pretty straightforward. So generally, yeah, I think, despite the fact there's a couple of wee complaints, it's a top figure, it really is. It's a really, really good offering from Present Toys. I think they've done a stellar job with this one. The options, despite the fact there's a couple of niggles, as I said, I think the options and the tailoring, the fact that we're using leather and not pleather means we'll get some longevity out of the outfit. The paintwork application is really nice. The sculpt is actually a lot better than the criticism that's potentially been thrown around. I don't think it needs repainted. Personally, I'm happy with it out the box. I'm happy with generally everything. And I think I've managed to solve the torso issue. I literally just pressed down on the torso, and it seems to be that looseness has now gone. So there must have been some detachment in the body, which just needed a wee bit of fettling, and there we go. So generally, it's an amazing figure. I think it's going to go extremely well in the collection. I now need to just go and find a spot for it, and then I'll show you what it looks like in the cabinet. Here we are. Now, hit a snag. The pose that I had with the grenade launcher, I've had to change because it just would not fit in the cabinet. So I've had to lower the right arm and put the grenade launcher by side. You can see with that lovely big display stand, it's really quite tight. I've had to angle. Unfortunately, Billy Butcher has quite a small footprint. And these two figures won't remain side by side because I'm still waiting on Homelander arriving, so T800 will be moved at some point. He may end up in his own display cube, but the space is at a premium right now, so I'm having to double up every figure. You can see just how close we are to the top of that shelf. There's not a lot of breathing room. And he is on probably one of the smallest spaces. So you can see the bottom shelf and the top shelf in the Blaladin are larger than the two middles. But yeah, I mean, you know, I probably will change out that stand. I think the stand just looks a bit ridiculous. As much as I do like it, if he's standing next to another figure, the stand is what's drawing your attention to that display area. It's not the figure you're concentrating on. My eyes constantly getting drawn to that stand. So I'll probably change that out. But overall, he's looking good. He's looking good in the collection. He really is. I'm really happy with it. So if you're on the fence about the Present Toys T800, don't be. It's a fantastic figure. It is, for the money, it is an absolutely stellar offering by Present Toys. Really, really happy with it. I'll probably change the pose slightly, but so far, so good. I really do like where I'm at with it. So yeah, that is the Present Toys Future Warrior. So thanks very much for checking the video out. If you do like what I'm putting out there, please do give me the thumbs up. That just lets me know that I'm putting the right content out. It gives me encouragement to keep doing videos. So yeah, thanks very much once again, and until the next video, take care.